Good morning, gamers! This video, we're finally adding some life to my city builder game. That means that it is time for me to model, program, and of course struggle with the first humans that I will be adding to my game. Being that it's the start of a new video, it's time to cover some 3D modeling first. This update, I got to work on a beautiful little human model that will be my test buddy for everything. And truth be told, I actually really like this model and the low-key look of terror that it has in its eyes. I just can't blame it for being terrified. It is going to have to spend a rather large amount of time with my code. And speaking of code, I wanted to start off the programming progress for this update by tying together some of the loose ends that I had left over from all the UI work that I did in my last video. So I started by implementing a new text rendering system, so that way I could tell which menus did what inside my game and I didn't have to keep all of that information just stored inside my brain cage. Then once I had that text rendering and a couple of other random little tasks that I still had left to do done, I got to work designing this new fancy menu that I can use to display all kinds of information about buildings, humans, and resources for my game. But in order for this little menu to have any purpose at all, I'm actually going to need to have humans, buildings, and resources in my game. So I started by writing a little system that generates a little tribe of humans that I can use for testing. And when I tried to get all of these humans to wander around, some pretty big issues with my 3D math system that I've been using up until this point started to shine through in a big way. They're not all supposed to be walking in the same direction right now. That's a problem. Apparently, the 3D math system that I have been using thus far has column major matrices and not row major matrices, which if I had the awareness to think about at the beginning of this bug fixing journey that I had, I would have saved myself an entire weekend. And with those transform issues fixed, my humans were little wandering champions, which was awesome to see. And after I had them wandering, it was time for me to give them all names like Zuadnonkel? Phage goes on, pretty cool one. But my personal favorite, because it sounds like an absolute delicacy, Bark Biscuit. Yum. And just like humans, I'd really like the building names to also pop up at the top of the info menu. And right now that's not very possible because apparently, no matter which building I click on, they're all types of primitive huts, which is a bit of a problem. You think this is a berry hut? Not a chance. This is actually a primitive hut. Think this might be a lumber hut? No. It's a primitive hut. I want to warm my hands by this fire. Oh wait, it's a primitive hut. So to fix this, I had to commit some serious C++ blasphemy. I used a template function that passes into, you guessed it, another template function that passes into a beautiful lambda function that calls the final template function, which if that confused you at all, don't worry, it confuses me too. It's awful. But if you're sat there like this guy, who is my resident C++ expert, sup baby cakes, and you know everything about the language, then I would love to hear a better solution, and the best place for that would be my new fancy Discord server. Right now, we have a wonderful little community there that has been sharing all kinds of cool stuff and even some rather questionable art sometimes. But back to game dev. It's time to get all of the pathfinding work that I did in this video a couple months ago attached to my favorite little wanderers. Because after all, what's the point of having little humans in the game if you can't tell them exactly where to go and exactly what to do? When I first added the pathfinding to the humans and added a button to make them walk to the world origin, I found that I was getting a little bit of unexpected Michael Jackson action. So I needed to fix that moonwalking problem. But more importantly, I needed to fix an issue where they just kind of walk through buildings, which defeats the entire purpose of the pathfinding system. Luckily for me, the fix for that was pretty easy 3D math stuff. It went pretty smooth and pretty quickly. Then I added some checks to make sure that humans don't do this while they are wandering anymore. So now they should just turn away from buildings when they're about to hit them, and found a pretty fun bug there. And once I had that fixed, things were working pretty much perfectly. It's pretty cool, except for the moonwalking problem. And once I had that fixed with just a little bit of math, the humans were rotating while pathfinding just perfectly, and they were going home exactly how I wanted them to. Unfortunately, they don't do much once they're home, but that's something that I plan to add in the future when I add humans' wants, needs, and spicy desires. And that's pretty much gonna do it for the progress that I made during this update. Next update, I plan on adding the first building functionalities and the first resource gathering behaviors to humans, which should be super cool. Please make sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed the video. It's totally free to you and it helps me out a ton. But thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye.